Hello and welcome to the Code Maven channel. My name is Gabor. I'm teaching Python, Rust, Git, and things like this to various companies. And in this video, we are going to see how to edit a GitHub repository. So a repository which is located on GitHub, but how to do it locally using Git locally and actually using Visual Studio Code. That's what you can see on the screen. And we are doing this whole thing on Windows. So if you might remember, we had a video earlier where we were building GitHub pages, a website on GitHub pages using Markdown. And it was my own sort of personal website. But at the end of the video, I renamed it to be called GitHub Pages Demo. And I'm clicking on it. What you can see here is now the video about that. And this is the location of this repository. And if I want to visit it, actually, I think if I click on here, I forgot to do this earlier, but if I click on this one, I can tell it to use the GitHub Pages URL, and then it will automatically select the URL. And then here I can click on this one and will find the page. So that was the page. And it's not on my main site, but it's a subdirectory. And so we're going to edit this. We won't write programs, at least not at the beginning. We're just going to write some more Markdown files, but we would like to make it locally. So we'll learn a little bit about local development. So for this, we will need, basically, okay, what we can do is we can start by trying to clone this repository. So here I'm already logged into GitHub, but I'm going to use now the HTTPS cloning method. And the reason I'm using it because that requires only my username and my password versus the SSH, which needs a lot more configuration. In the long run, it's probably better, the SSH version. But for now, I would like to prefer to show the HTTPS version. So I clicked here. I take the address of this repository, basically. The way I came here, I clicked on this code. And now I'm going to the editor, the Visual Studio Code, which is already installed on my Windows machine. And on the left-hand side, there is this icon, which is the source control thing. And now I'm trying to clone the repository from GitHub to my own computer, basically downloading. The word is cloning. Now, I haven't installed Git locally yet, so that's why it says download Git for Windows. If I click on this one, hopefully it will open the website. It asks me if I want to open the website. So it's opening it. Actually, I already had it open, but it's on the Git SCM website, and I need to download, probably because I'm on Windows, so I'm going to download it for 64-bit because on Windows, because that's a 64-bit machine. I mean, these days, basically every machine is 64 bits. Actually, I don't even need to download it because I already did it. I just have to find the download folder. So I have it downloaded. I downloaded it last week. This is the file. So I can double click on it and install it. It asks me, and I step through the installation because there's one place that I need to make some changes. So here I just click on next. Unfortunately, I don't think that I know how to enlarge the fonts here. But so far, I just accepted the defaults. Next. And here, this window is where I recommend that you make some changes because, well, maybe not while using the VS Code, but later on, you might need this feature. So in some cases, Git opens an editor for yourself. And the default editor is called Vim, which is a fantastic editor, but it needs like 2 years to get used to it. So I don't recommend you get started with it now. So instead of that, and this is the default of what you have here. So instead of this, I'll check here and I will pick the use Notepad. Because Notepad, if you are on Windows, Notepad is there all the time. And we probably won't encounter this issue. And the rest are just clicking next. Nothing else. Okay. So this was the only thing where I made changes and got to the installation, and so it's now installing. So Notepad is on your Windows system, and we won't really need this, right, not in this video, but maybe later on you will encounter cases. And I really, really don't want you to get into Vim without knowing it, because then you will be one of those millions of people who needs to know how to get out from Vim. And this is one of the most popular questions on Stack Overflow. Anyway, this is installing. And one thing I saw here that once you install it, you need to reload. So I guess I'll be able to reload this with this button. Okay, so it finished the installation. I clicked on finish and shows me some information about the release of Git for Windows. Okay, I don't really need this. Fine. I will have a link to this place where you can download Git from under the video. But as you could see, I just clicked here on this blue thingy button. Yeah. So now I guess I can reload it with that link. And so Visual Studio had to be reloaded in order to find the installation of Git, and it found it, because now I have two. I know it because now I have two blue buttons, and I can enlarge this one. And so now I can open a folder. If I already have locally a Git repository, then I could open that folder, but I don't have it yet. So now I need to clone the repository. I click on the clone, and here I paste that URL that I copied from GitHub. So just to remind you again, I go back to GitHub, if I can find this here. Yeah, this one. Okay, this repository. I clicked on the green button. I picked the HTTPS, and I copied this address. Okay, so this is the way I'm going to clone the repository. Click on clone. I put the repository, and I say, okay, clone from GitHub. Okay, whatever it says, there's no credentials. I hope that it won't be a problem in this video. Let me try it again. Clone from, okay, sorry. I guess I had to click on the upper link. So I go back for a second, clone repository. I clicked here, and earlier I said clone from GitHub, and now I clicked on this one. So, and this is apparently the right one. And now it tells me, okay, please, it opens the file explorer and basically lets me find a location where I would like it to be cloned locally on my computer. So I usually like to, so I don't recommend that you put it in your home directory, especially if you have a space in your name, or if you have a letter that is not the Latin letters, because that can confuse all kinds of applications here. So what I usually do when I work on Windows is that I go to my C folder. There I have a folder, or if I don't, then I create one which is called work. Can I enlarge this one? No. So just trust me if you can't see it well. It's called work here. And in there I have my project. And I think that's it. I can just select the repository destination. Okay, so this work folder is the repository destination. There are all these things here, but what this will do is will create a new folder. So it will create a folder using the name of this repository. Would you like to open the cloned repository? Okay, that's the pop-up here. And yes, I would like to open it. And basically it's open. It opens now the folder in the VS Code. Now, what you need to know about VS Code, if you don't know it yet, that it likes to deal with folders. And inside the folder, there are going to be files, or there are files, and then it knows how to relate between those files. So that's why instead of opening a single file, we start by opening a folder. And that's what it asked me, whether if I would like to open this folder. And that's what I did. So now it opened the folder. I'll show you also in the File Explorer so you can see what happened. So here I can come to the C folder, C disk work, and as you can see, there is a new folder here, which is the name of the repository, the last part of the repository without my username and so on. Now, in order to clone a repository like this, I didn't really need to be logged into GitHub, because I use the HTTPS method, and because this repository is public, so I could access it, anyone could do this cloning. pushing back to this repository, it's not available for everyone. It's only available for people who are authenticated and who have the rights, and we'll have to get to that point in a bit. But for now, you just see that there is this folder, and then here are the files. So this is the file explorer shows me, but I don't really need that now because I can work with Visual Studio Code. And let's see now what do we need to edit. So if I go back to the website, you might remember or not from the previous video, this is the website. And so this is the README file. This comes from the README file where there is some stuff in there, animals, there is this elephant, and I don't know what else. Okay, so this is in the README file. So I'm opening the README file, and you can see the content here. And only thing I'm going to put here is Windows. Okay, so I'll just add the new entry, a title saying just Windows, and I'm saving it. So this is what I edit on my Windows machine locally. Now, what you can see, notice here that here you got on the left-hand side where we had the cloning, where we have this icon of the version control, there is suddenly a blue mark. Let me try to go back and remove these lines. Okay, if I save now, okay, I remove those lines and the blue mark disappeared on the left-hand side because now the file is exactly the same as it was when I cloned it. I put these lines back, and once I save it, okay, it already notices that there is some change. And so now I need to, besides saving it locally, I need to commit the changes to Git. So now I could, I can open this part, and it shows me that there is one file that has changed. And now I have to save it sort of into Git. And the word we use is commit to Git. Okay, so it already offers me to commit it. I'll click on the commit button. It tells me there are no staged changes. So the thing is that behind the scene, Git actually needs two steps in order to in order to commit some files. The first step is to mark them as being staged, and then I need to commit them. And it has all kinds of advantages, but we mostly disregard it for now because it makes life a little bit easier if we disregard it. So that's what Visual Studio Code tells me. So it says there are no staged changes to commit, okay? And you want to stage them and then say, okay, yes, sure. So do the staging and also the committing. And then now it complains, okay? So it tells me that I need to add the configuration. I didn't configure Git yet, all right? I just downloaded and installed it, and I didn't configure it. So I need to make some configuration to Git, and that's what this error message is about. Okay, Git basically wants to know my name and my email address. So when I commit into Git, it will be able to record it. And I'm going to open the Git log. It wants to open the Git log. It's interesting. Why? I'm not sure. This is not what I wanted to show you. Okay, so let's try it again. Commit. Okay, learn more. Okay, basically it needs the username and the user email. And I need to learn how to do this from Visual Studio Code because I don't know. So it needs to have a file in my home directory, which is called .gitconfig. Now on Linux and Mac, it uses this sign, the tilde sign. Okay, let me go here. On Windows, it explains that it's called the gitconfig file. This is the name of the file that I need to create. This is a one-time thing that I need to do for Git to prepare. And it needs to be in C users and my username. Okay, so I need to create that file. I'm going to go with my file explorer to C users and my home directory. And here I'm going to create a new file. Okay, so new file, new text document, okay, and it needs to be called .gitignore. git ignore. Okay, because I changed the extension, Windows complains, don't worry about it. Okay, fine, I'm changing the file. And I can see this file, and this is something that you might need to make some changes on Windows. So in the File Explorer, if you haven't done it yet, there is this View menu at the top. And there are two checkboxes here. One of them is to show file name extensions. So if I remove that, then it will hide the extensions. Apparently, this gitignore file is still shown, so it's fine, so you will see it. But in any case, I would recommend that you click on these two checkboxes. So I have the file, and I'm going to open it, and I can open it with any editor. I'll just click on the edit, and it opened it with Notepad. That's fine. And let's go back to the documentation here that explains me what I need to do. And I need to, and it doesn't show it to me. So I'm going to copy paste it. I don't find it here. So it gives me all kind of ways to run this on the command line, but I wanted to avoid that. Okay, so that's why I'm not doing this. Let's see if it can show, if it has the how it looks like, but it doesn't have it. So I'm going to open it in my other computer, and I'm going to copy it from there. Just a second, while I'm copying it from the other window, and I'm going to show it to you then, obviously. Okay, so these are the lines that I'm going to copy now. Hopefully, I'll be able to copy here. And even if I can't copy, no, I couldn't copy. So I just copy it manually. So it needs to say user in square brackets. Can I enlarge this one? Yes, fine. So it needs to say square bracket users. And there here, I have some indentation. And I need to put here my name. And my name is Gabor Sabo. And I need to put here my email. And this say email. Right? And here I put my email. subgov.com. And then I save this file. Okay, Control S, save this file. Now I'll show you something, where it's going to end up before you actually do this. So if I go back to this browser and go back to the repository, and I look at the commits I made earlier. Okay, so when I created this video apparently a month ago. So in each commit, you can see who is the author. And basically, I don't know if it will show me. Huh. Okay, maybe GitHub hides this now. Anyway, in each commit, if I look at the commit itself, well, now it only shows the changes. But I could probably look at the header of it, and then it will show my name and my email address. So it will be in this Git repository. And that's how it will also know who made the commit. Anyway, so put here your name and your email address and save it. And hopefully I made it correctly. Now I can go back to the editor and try to do the commit again, because now I made this configuration. So I clicked on config, make sure you configure username. It still doesn't know about it, strangely. Okay, why? Open git log again, git status. Okay, it doesn't. User email name. Okay, this is what I want. This is what I made. So I probably made some incorrect git, because git. Okay, so no one told me while I was editing. I created a file called gitignore, which is it also plays. It's just an error I made. There is also a file called gitignore, which is used, We're not using that. We need to call it git config, this file, okay? I'll copy the name now. It will also, Windows also complain again. And let me copy the name here so you can see it. Okay, so this is how it's called, .git config. Okay, I'll also include it in the video. Okay, so let's try it again. Commit, and now it's happy. Okay, so I had to make just the right file name. That's fine. I like to make errors because then it makes it more human, even though some people are annoyed. Anyway, so now it asked me to give a commit message. If you remember from the previous video that when we were committing a change on the website, on GitHub, it also asked me to write some commit message. It already filled in some things. Here it's just empty. Well, it's not empty, but all the things that start with a hash mark will be ignored. So here I just have to add a few words just to explain what I'm doing. So I add a line on Windows. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Of course, if you are trying it on Mac or Linux, then you don't have to write it in the line on Windows. So I just edited this file, and now I can save the file with Control S and close the file. And once I do that, then the Git client locally makes this commit. Okay, so now I made this change, saved it basically to Git locally on my computer, but it's still not on GitHub. So in order to get it to GitHub, I need to synchronize. So basically there are two commands. Either I push out to GitHub or I pull down from GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is the remote repository. So now I have basically I have two copies of my repository, right? I have the one that is on GitHub that I used earlier in the previous video. And then I cloned it locally, which made a local copy of the whole history of all the changes. You can even see here all the changes shown. So now I have local copy, and locally I made a change. So locally I have an additional commit here, which doesn't exist on GitHub yet. We call this what we have on my computer local, and what we have on GitHub, we call it remote. That's sort of the general name because of course, it's remote. So now we need to, in the basic terms of Git, we need to push out the changes. But what Visual Studio Code does, it calls it synchronizing the change, which will actually first try to pull down any changes made on GitHub, which are none this time, and then we'll try to push it out. If we didn't have Visual Studio Code, I would do the same manually. But now I'm trying to just click on it, and we'll try to synchronize it. And now we'll see if my previous attempts were, well, okay. So it managed to do this apparently, and it's unfortunate actually, because I wanted to show you how you have to authenticate here. So at this point, so the story is that I already tried this, and apparently I haven't removed the authentication. So it already recognized me. If I go to the Git repository here, and I update it now, so refresh it, Control R, you will see that there is this add a line on Windows. So it was pushed out to GitHub. You can also see this yellowish or I don't know, brownish circle, meaning that the actions are working, okay? And it already finished, so it's already green apparently, okay? Right, that's just finished. So the website was updated. So let's go to the website, and if I refresh this and scroll down to the end, then you can see Windows. Okay, that is the line that I added locally and then pushed it out to GitHub, and that's it. Okay, so now back to the authentication part, because this will probably, synchronizing probably won't work automatically for you. So in order to be able to push out, to synchronize basically, but to push out to GitHub, I need to be authenticated with GitHub. So GitHub needs to know that it's me. My username is subgub, so that's me. And it needs to know that I have the rights to push to this repository. Now I have but for that it needs to know who I am, who is the one who is pushing from here. Okay, so when you click on sync, it will open you a pop-up and will ask you to authenticate. And there you'll have to click on it and it will open the browser, and then it will let you authenticate through your browser. You will probably need to type in your username and password of GitHub in order to authenticate. And then after a couple of clicks, you will be able to it will tell you that, okay, fine, it remembers now your password, and then it will work smoothly. So, and this is basically what happened here. So let me get started more or less again from the point that I close this window now. Okay, I don't need this Visual Studio Code anymore. I already have cloned it locally. And so next day, okay, so let's see if we finish the day. So now I would like to make some more changes. Actually, I would like to add the file and make some more changes. So I go to my file explorer, let's say, go to this project. I mean, actually, I could open, I don't even need to go to the file explorer. Okay, I can just start VS Code. Okay, so I'll just click on the Windows key, I start VS Code, and VS Code remembers the last opened folder that you had, and even the open file. Now, in case you were working on a different project or you don't have it open, you can always come to File, open folder, file the folder where you cloned this repository locally, and open it. Or if you know that you've already opened it earlier, you can go to the Open Recent, and here you will have all kind of projects that you opened recently, apparently in various courses, various projects. I already used this and it still remembers. And I need to find a way to remove all this from history. So next time I make a video, it won't show up. Anyway, for me, it's already open. So now I can create, let's say, a new file. So let's create a new file. I think I right-click, create a new file. It's called hello.md. Okay, it's going to be a markdown file. And I just say here, hello. And from the window, there's actually the other file. Okay, fine. From the README, I wanted to link to it. And do I have a link to other? Let's search for the other keyword. No. So I think this is the way to link. We'll find it out. So this is the hello file, and I need to put here the name of the file. Okay, so this is, you remember that this is how you link to some external, here at the top, to some external page, fine. But here how we can link to an internal page, so another page. And we created this other page, which is just another file. Okay, so now we have them locally, and we would like to add to Git. Now you can actually see that there are number two here, because there were two changes that locally that are not in Git yet. One change to a file, the other one is an additional of a file. Now you could actually play here with only committing one of them or only committing part of them or all kind of interesting things. But for now, we just do everything at once. So we commit the whole thing. Again, when I clicked on commit, it told me that there is nothing staged yet. So I just click on yes, just go ahead, stage it. It opens again this editor where I put in the commit message. So I put the commit message, which is add a new file. Okay. And I need to save this and close it here. Okay. And once I did this, it made the commit locally. And here it has the local change. I can actually click here on things and see the local changes, see the changes, okay, and what changed when and so on. So it's very interesting, very useful locally. But now again, I would like to sync the changes. So I just click it. I don't have to handle all the authentication that you probably had to do it the first time. And I can go to the Git repository. Here, you can see it's yellowish moving because the actions, now it's the GitHub actions, so it's building up the page as we learned in the earlier video. That's it. Okay. So now, if you are part of my course in the Weizmann Institute, then the assignment was to create, the first assignment was to create a website that you could have done on GitHub. And the second one was actually writing some Python code and pushing it out to a repository. So for that, you need to create a new repository. Okay, that's if you want to have a separate repository for your assignments. So you create your new repository and then clone. But when you create the new repository, add a README file to it. So let me show. Before I go there, okay, before I go there, just let's see this one. So you can see that this finished the building of the page. So I can come to this welcome page. I need to reload it again. And as you can see, here is the link to hello. And let's see if this works. Indeed, when I clicked on it, it went to the hello page, okay, that I created. So now you could see how I could make some changes to one file, add a new file. And this is the same if I want to add the folder. I just create a folder, add the file into, and then when I just commit the changes, and then I synchronize them, and it uploads it. Okay, so if you need to create a new repository, then and work on it, then probably what you would like is to create a new repository, and in the repository, you give it, of course, a name. You probably want to make it public if it's in the course, and add the README file, so it will have some content. Actually, this gitignore that I mistakenly made earlier, here it suggests me to make that file. It's for each repository I can create one, and it will be useful later. We'll see it, not now. Okay, it's not that urgent. Okay, so once you create this repository with whatever assignments or whatever name you would like to use with a README file, then you will be able to clone it to your computer locally. And then there you can start writing a Python file, your hello world or whatever, put it in the folder, synchronize and sync it out. And then especially to my students, but even if you're just watching the video on YouTube and you made some changes and would like me to review it, then okay, so if you're just from the internet, not from the course, then you can come to this repository specifically and open an issue. And in this issue, you can say, okay, new issue. You can say, where is this repository that you would like me to review? And if you are a student in my course, then you already know where is this repository that you should use, which is part of the course. So that's it. You open the issue, and then that's how I will know where are your files, where are your repositories. I think that's the basics, basically, of using Git locally. There are a lot more things you could do. I think, as I mentioned, that, for example, you can click here, and then you can see the actual changes. So in this change, I added these lines. And if I go back to this one, which I apparently did a month ago, then it shows that these lines were added and this line was removed and all kind of other things. So you can use this to see locally what changes were made when. I guess also you could see by whom. Yes, so I put the mouse and waited a second, and it shows me that it's Gabor Szabó, that's me, who edited when was it changed, what was my commit message then, and so on. Okay, so you don't need to do it on GitHub if you have a local clone of your whole repository. And there are a lot more things to do locally. One more thing, maybe I add one line, add a line. Okay, so I just added a line to this file, and then I can come here and see, yeah, right. So I just clicked on the file let me show you. So inside, let me close this one. Okay, I have the file edited, and I open the menu for the source control, and then clicked on the file itself, and it shows me the actual change. Okay, so just notice this is just showing the modifications that I added this line. Okay, so even before you make the commit, you can actually look at, okay, what did I change? It's especially useful if you made some changes, then you left for 2 weeks vacation, and then you came back and you have some local changes and you don't remember anymore what you did, and you would like to know, okay, what were the changes I made and forgot to commit and push out. So that could be also useful. Okay, you don't need to go to 2 weeks vacation for that. I can do this in 10 minutes. I can forget things. So anyway, that's it, I think. The basics of using Git locally with a GitHub project and pushing out changes. So that's it. If you watched the video and enjoyed it, then please like it and follow the channel, and see you at one of the upcoming videos. Bye bye.